Daniel, I've known him since the 1970s. Many of you know him as an art entrepreneur, and he is surely one of the very best. But many of you probably don't know that he started out life with a PhD in chemical engineering. He said, I'm a chemical engineer. What do I know about flipping hamburger? Well, if you have a PhD in chemical engineering, I suppose you can learn to flip hamburgers. So he came back to Hong Kong, prepared for the opening of the first McDonald's restaurant in Hong Kong. But his real contribution to Hong Kong, and indeed to mankind in some ways, was when he retired in 1996. His devotion to classical music is unlike anybody I know in this town or anywhere else. He supported many young artists, composers, performers, including the young man who wrote a piece of music commissioned by Daniel to commemorate the opening of the Asian Society Hong Kong Center in 2012. Daniel is a friendly fella. And during the return of Hong Kong to her motherland in 1997, he befriended somebody. And that person happened to be Yo-Yo Ma. They became good friends, and Daniel ended up joining the board of the Silk Road Ensemble and later becoming the chair of it. And so when we opened the Asian Society Hong Kong Center in February of 2012, Daniel insisted on holding the first gala dinner, a small one, for the Silk Road Ensemble and Yo-Yo Ma at the Asian Society. It was a magical evening I will never forget for the rest of my life. Daniel's contribution to music, to the young lives, musicians that he has touched is amazing. So we are very happy to honor Daniel, albeit posthumously, with the Maestro category of an award for arts and culture of the Asian Society Hong Kong Center.
Daniel Ng is the godfather of classical music in Hong Kong. He was behind many commissioned work of music, including the Cantonese singing version of Mahler's Das Lied von der Erde. While he was known as the driving force behind establishing the McDonald's brand in Hong Kong and mainland China, it was music that he was drawn to and contributed much to. After stepping down as managing director and becoming honorary chairman of Ronald McDonald House Charities of Hong Kong in 1996, he poured his heart into arts and culture. In 1996, Daniel founded the Octavian Society, which housed and generated a range of culture endeavors. It supported young and established composers, funded arts organizations, and commissioned new works. The most notable commission was a Cantonese performance rendition of Gustav Mahler's Das Lied von der Erde, refitted with original poems of Tang Dynasty poets Li Bai, Qian Qi, Meng Haoran, and Wang Wei. It had its premiere at the British Library as an ancillary event of BBC Proms in 2004, and was recorded by the Singapore Symphony Orchestra for BIS Records. In 2016, we collaborated with Philharmonia APA to present Das Lied Revisited as a tribute to Daniel, who passed away in 2013. In 1997, Daniel met Yo-Yo Ma and was invited to join the board of the Cellists Silk Road Project, a collective of artists from around the world who create music that engages their many traditions. He served as treasurer and eventually chairman, and under his guidance, the Silk Road Ensemble recorded multiple albums and brought its distinctive intersection of musical tradition and education to audiences across Asia, North America, and Europe. An avid collector, Daniel amassed a private collection of music manuscripts and memorabilia concerning Richard Strauss, and later, the collection of scores of pianist Paul Wittgenstein that generated much scholarly work on the materials. While he was on the Hong Kong Philharmonic Orchestra's Board of Governors, Daniel was instrumental in bringing a concert version of one of Strauss's most notable works, the Rosenkavalier, to Hong Kong in 2007. Another work that Octavian Society specially commissioned was Hong Kong Epilogue. Here are the years that walk between composed by Ainan Liu, and performed by soprano Yuki Yip and the Hong Kong New Music Ensemble. It had its world premiere at Asia Society Hong Kong Center to mark the opening of our heritage site in February 2012. Daniel will always be remembered as a cultural entrepreneur for being ahead of his time and bringing his marketing brilliance that served him so well in business to the arts and particularly music. Without a doubt, he left an indelible mark in the world.
We would like to thank the Asia Society Hong Kong for choosing our father, Daniel Ng, as an honoree at this year's gala. We are proud of the many ways in which our father has contributed to the arts and to cultural exchange, and are so deeply touched that the ASHK wanted to remember his legacy. Dad loved art and music, and sharing that enthusiasm across cultures in as many ways as possible was important to him. His optimism, business acumen, unique perspective, and can-do spirit enabled him to engage in a vast array of endeavors. Some of these endeavors included the China Exploration and Research Society, the AFS Intercultural Programs, the Asian Youth Orchestra, and the Silk Road Project. All of his undertakings through art and other disciplines had cross-cultural exchange and cultural literacy at their very core. Our father was intrigued with the melding of East and West, especially with regard to music and art. To that end, he supported young artists and musicians both in the West and in China and Hong Kong, often commissioning new works. As a member of the Board of Governors of the Hong Kong Philharmonic, he helped to bring the concert version of Der Rosenkavalier to Hong Kong in 2007. Dad also had a deep affinity for the composer Gustav Mahler. As a result, he spent years reworking badly translated Tang Dynasty poems that were the basis for Mahler's renowned song symphony Das Lied von der Erde. The resulting version, which was sung in Cantonese, premiered at the British Library during the proms, recorded by the Singapore Symphony, and even traveled to Vienna, Mahler's hometown, as Das Lied Revisited, in a collaboration in 2016 between the ASHK and the Philharmonia APA in Dad's honor. We're not sure what our father would have thought of this past year, which has been dominated by the pandemic along with concerning racial, political, and social challenges. But knowing Dad, he wouldn't have been fazed by any of it. He probably would have said that there's a lot more work to be done and we'd just better get to it. He would have seen this past year as having created opportunities to double our efforts in promoting diversity and cultural exchange through art. He would have been eager to find new and inspiring ways for the arts to thrive and contribute to cross-cultural understanding. Dad would have seen the fate of the arts hinging on thinking out of the box in terms of access, funding, inclusion, diversity, and cultural exchange. The only thing we know for sure is that he would have envisioned both a bright future and a bigger role for the arts in diluting the world's problems, and he would have surely looked forward to being a part of it.